Well, if tonight's game isn't a reflection of the season for the Colorado Rockies, I don't know what is. They lose tonight to the St. Louis Cardinals by a final score of 7-3. Rockies were out in front in this game, had a 3-2 lead at one point, and then just a disastrous seventh, and in particular an eighth inning, ultimately causes them the loss today. Awful defense. Defense is in shambles. That's my first bullet point of the day. And offense not doing too much to support Ryan Feltner out there. But at the end of the day, it is another loss in another brutal fashion for the Colorado Rockies. We'll see if they can rally and try to bounce back and finish this season strong. But we'll break it all down for you tonight on the last few episodes of your Locked On Rockies postcast of the season. Let's get into it, folks.
You are Locked On Rockies postcast, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Rockies postcast. Welcome on into the show, everybody. I am your host, Aniello Piro. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP, and make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never miss an episode of your Rockies, Buffs, and Broncos postcasts. And I think we're getting ready to do some Nuggets basketball as well. So make sure to subscribe if you are a fan of your local Denver sports teams. But today's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rival's city. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. More from our friends over at Booking.com in a minute. And, of course, we're going to break down the game. I think I'll save the Chuck Nasty thoughts for the end of the show, as he is announcing, or just announced, what was it, yesterday on Monday evening, that he will be retiring at the end of this season. So now only 5 games left for Charlie Blackmon in a Rockies uniform. Thankfully, all of them will be at home. So if you are a Rockies fan, be sure to get on out to Coors Field if you want to see, Your Love, the walk-up song being played one last time, and pay homage to Chuck Nasty, who, isn't a Hall of Famer, but is certainly one of the more accomplished players, one of the more fan-favorite players in the history of Rockies baseball, almost like a Vinny Castilla type, probably a little bit more, to be honest with you. Charlie Blackmon and the Rockies. Charlie Blackmon will always be an icon. I don't want to use the word legend because they didn't win anything with him necessarily, but he's an icon for sure. Someone that you can look back on and say, you know what? That's one of the best Rockies of all time. And so we'll pay homage to Chuck Nasty at the end of the show. And why don't we just go ahead and knock this out, right? Let's go ahead and just talk about what happened on the baseball diamond tonight, because it was not pretty. It started out all right for the Rockies. Ryan Feltner had himself a decent outing, but he ends up departing there in the 7th inning with what appears to be a cramp in his right arm. And I caught Buddy Black's postgame press conference. He talked about how he just didn't want to push it. And I also was able to catch Ryan Feltner's postgame scrum as well. And he talked about that it was just an injury that had kind of been piling up. So we'll save some thoughts on Ryan Feltner's night for the second segment of the show. But we've got to start with just the game in general, and, of course, the defense there and the disastrous 8th inning that just ended up dooming the Rockies in this game. And remember, guys, they were up 3-2, at one point, and then St. Louis ends up tying it up in the 7th with a solo home run, and then this game gets busted wide open there in the top half of the 8th inning, and the Rockies are just unable to recover. So let's go ahead and break it down. Because there was just an awful Little League type of situation with the Rockies in that 8th inning as well. But it's Shavili is replacing Victor Vodnik out of the bullpen. Shavili ends up taking the loss in this game. He's 1-3 with a 4.34 ERA, and he immediately ran into some trouble as Nolan Arenado, who else, hit a leadoff single to begin the top half of the 8th inning, kind of set the table. He hit that to right field. And so the St. Louis Cardinals get a runner on first with no outs there in the top half of the 8th inning. After a Brendan Donovan fly out and an Ivan Herrera strikeout, you're feeling all right, runner on first, 2 outs. Things just start to go awry for the Colorado Rockies. Lars Nootbaar, what a last name, Nootbaar, Nootbaar. He ends up drawing a walk, which is unfortunate. We know the free passes can always come back to bite you in the rear end, and that certainly happened today with the Rockies. So Nolan Arenado at second, Nootbaar at first after the inerrant walk. And then Jordan Walker, or hold on one second. Jordan Walker hits a single to left field. That brings around Nolan Arenado to score. And, Victor Shavilli's actually been pretty nasty in his limited opportunities, particularly with that changeup. And this one, just the ball tails to the outside portion of the plate. And Jordan Walker was able to pinch it in between second or third, and Nolan Arenado goes from second to home. That puts St. Louis up 4-3 at this point. And then this is kind of where disaster strikes a little bit. Victor Scott then comes to the plate with the runner on base, and he's going to go ahead and hit a single to right field, which is going to bring Lars Nootbaar around to score. Jordan Walker advances to third, and Victor Scott ends up getting to second. Lo and behold, due to some just awful defense from the Rockies. So Shavilli here, he's ball in the lower middle portion of the pitch. This is not the play that we call block for the Rockies. Just a nice piece of hitting there from Victor Scott. He pushes to right field, right in between the first baseman and second baseman. Happens to run home and makes it 5-3 for the St. Louis Cardinals. So just off to a rough start. I shouldn't say off to a rough start. Shavilli was able to get 2 outs despite, giving up that leadoff single to Nolan Arenado. And then things just started to kind of fall out of hand from there. Mason Wynn then hits a double with a blooper shot down the right field line that's softly hit, forcing Jake Case to come up and try to make a play on it. And that allows 2 runs to score as well. So 7-3 there is how it all kind of plays out for the Rockies in that situation. But they had a botched pickle situation in the middle of the game today where Jacob Stallings ends up getting the ball at catcher, and the runner who was on second is trying to advance to third. The runner on third is trying to advance home. And the runner who's trying to advance home runs all the way back to second, or all the way back to third. The runner who's on third at the time runs all the way back to second. The runner who's on second at the time runs all the way back to first. And somehow, some way, the Rockies are unable to get a single out from that sequence. I mean, it's like I used to umpire Little League Baseball, and that's what it felt like for the Rockies with that dynamic. And that's why I started the postcast with my cold open there, talking about this is just kind of the way that things have been going for the Colorado Rockies this season. Just unable to, play smart baseball at times. Errors have hurt them. Blown leads in the 9th inning have hurt them. And, this season is going to come to a merciful end sooner rather than later. But just a absolutely disastrous 8th inning for the Rockies as they give up 4 runs after giving up a single run there in the 7th inning, which ultimately ended the day for starting pitcher Ryan Feltner, who's just had some awful luck on the mound. I mean, his record is just bad, even though his ERA in September has actually been pretty good. I'll save some of those thoughts here for the second segment, excuse me. But Feltner gives up in the top half of the 3rd inning there, his 15th home run of the season for Mason Wynn. That puts St. Louis up 2-0. And then, as I mentioned, I think I accidentally misspoke earlier. He gives up one more run in the top half of the 7th inning, as Alec Burleson grounds into a force out. But excuse me, I'm losing my train of thought. It's been a long day. Which ultimately for the Rockies here allows the Cardinals to tie it up 3-3 there off the force out, ground out from Alec Burleson. And it was just a disaster waiting to happen. This is Victor Vodnik on the mound. Easy double play ball that could have been converted, and just an infinite throw on the throw back to first from Ezekiel Tovar, which has happened a couple of times this season, and you can't chalk it up to rookie mistakes anymore. Ezekiel Tovar is in his 2nd season. He's had plenty of experience, over 162 games under his belt, and it's just a couple of long balls, a couple of inerrant throws from Ezekiel Tovar. I feel like that we've seen over the course of the season. So I expect him to clean that up, but it's the little things that continue to hold the Rockies back. It's the little things that might wind up with them losing 100 games this year. It's going to be interesting. 5 games left to play. They're 3 games away from that 100 loss. They're 60-97, of course, 5th place in the National League West, and the Cardinals are 80-77, which is good for 3rd place in the National League Central. But like I said, we are slowly but surely getting closer and closer towards the end of the season, and it'll be interesting to see if the Rockies can finish strong. Obviously, the Cardinals are not going to make the playoffs, and the Rockies have a chance there at the end of the season in their final series with the Los Angeles Dodgers to try to play some spoiler, maybe help out the Padres a little bit, or maybe just kind of zap some momentum from the Dodgers going into the playoffs. But they also just played their Dodgers in the last series, and we saw how that all went with the back-to-back home runs from Shohei and Mookie Betts to walk it off on Sunday afternoon. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But tonight, A disappointing loss for the Colorado Rockies, 7-3. The offense was not great. They put up 3 runs on 8 hits, but just kind of same old song and dance, rinse and repeat with the Rockies tonight. Another double-digit strikeout game for them as they punched out 10 times in this game. 10 strikeouts for the Colorado Rockies. So, all right, let's hit our first break. When we come back, we continue along with the conversation. We'll talk about Ryan Feltner's outing. We'll talk about some more details. I've got some opinions about Nolan Arenado coming back to town. And then, like I said, we'll spend the whole last segment talking about Charlie Blackmon and look ahead to what's coming up tomorrow for the Rockies. But like I said, Charlie Blackmon, unless you've been living under a rock, announced his retirement on Monday night. So these are the last few games for Charlie Blackmon in his major league career. And we'll pay some homage to him tonight and probably all throughout the rest of the postcast shows throughout the rest of the season. So we'll hit a break, come back, and do just that right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Stick with us, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about the fine folks over at eBay Motors. Let me get the script pulled up. All right, passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions, they do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to customers in the United States. And I talk about this every time when I do the eBay Motors read, guys. I am still on my first and only car. It's been treating me pretty well. But if anything comes up, if I got to get some new parts, I did the Locked On Dodgers Rockies crossover with my guy Pete Fox, and he was telling me that eBay Motors is a great place to get some brakes at a good price. If anything ever comes up with my car, because Lord knows getting a new car in this day and age is an expensive investment, I am going to eBay Motors without a doubt. Millions of parts for your MVP. Win every time with parts that fit your ride. Only at eBay Motors. Be sure to check them out, guys, and let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you. eBay Motors. Check them out. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Really appreciate you guys rocking with me tonight. And if you've been a loyal listener throughout the course of Rockies season, I really appreciate you guys as well. It's been a fun season. I know maybe not a fun season for the Rocky fan and the output of the team, but I personally have been having a blast doing these shows and talking it up, chopping it up with you guys. So really do appreciate you guys following along. And, only a few episodes left of the Rockies postcast, and it'll be all football for a minute, and then we'll slowly transition into some basketball talk as well. So make sure to subscribe to that Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never miss an episode of all of your Locked On Denver Sports postcasts hosted by yours truly. You can also follow me on social at Media by AP. And I'm sorry if my lips look a little red. If you're watching on YouTube, I was munching on some hot Cheetos. I don't know why. I had a craving during the game for some hot Cheetos. And here's the remnant bag. No free ads, but love me some hot Cheetos. If you guys are hot Cheeto lovers, let me know in the comments. It's weird. I haven't really had a craving for hot chips in a minute because they usually hurt my stomach. I'll probably wake up tomorrow with a little tummy ache, but got to keep on keeping on, man. You got to find some way to keep it exciting with the Rockies, right? But let's talk about Ryan Feltner's outing tonight. He was actually solid in this one. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. And real quick before we kind of dive into his outing as a whole, he did end up leaving after 1 pitch there in the 7th inning. And we came to find out both from Buddy Black, which was later confirmed by Feltner himself, that he was dealing with a bit of a cramp in his right arm, his throwing arm, of course, and that it was something that was kind of nagging entering into the start tonight, and just kind of kept getting progressively and and he ends up getting yanked from that game. Buddy Black just talked about how he doesn't want to push him. The Rockies aren't going anywhere, so why try to risk an injury, or anything along those lines. So hopefully Ryan Feltner is going to be okay, because as of today, he's in line for that final start of the season for the Rockies coming up this Sunday against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we'll see if Mr. Feltner is A-okay, but I mean, his stuff was good tonight, man, and he's been pretty good throughout the month of September. He's got an ERA, I believe, in the twos in his start so far this month. He's made a handful of them here on the 24th of September as we make our way closer towards the end of the season. And like I said, I was able to catch his post-game scrum, and one of the things that I think has made Ryan Feltner more successful as of late down the stretch this season is his ability to navigate around traffic and not allow the big inning. And Austin Gomber will be on the bump tomorrow for the Rockies. We know that the first inning is his kryptonite. If Austin Gomber is able to get through the first inning relatively clean, odds are he's going to put forth a pretty quality start for the Rockies. With Feltner, I think it's just what was the word that he used? Wherewithal. I forget the exact adjective that he used to kind of describe himself, but a little bit more confidence in his ability to kind of pinpoint some pitches when he needs to, understanding what hitters are looking for the second and third time through the lineup. I've been pretty pleased with Ryan Feltner's performance throughout the course of the season. And I know he's had some bad spots, but the Rockies, for whatever reason, when he pitches, have just not given him much run support, which is why his record is the way that it is. Let me pull this up real quick. I think he only has like 2 or 3 wins on the season. Yeah, he's 3-10 so far this season. So 28 years old, a guy who's in the middle of his career. I think he's going to have a spot in this Rockies rotation moving forward. I think he's shown specifically down the stretch here that when he's dialed in, he can make some critical pitches and really set the Rockies up for success if they can get some offense. So, and again, his stat line tonight, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. And like he gives up that run in the 7th inning, which was just a good piece of hitting from Alec Burleson. But what really comes back to haunt him is that 2-run shot from Mason Wynn in the top half of the 3rd inning, which ended up putting St. Louis out to a 2-0 lead. Now, as I mentioned, the Rockies were able to take the lead in this game at one point. They get a run themselves there in the bottom half of the 3rd inning, and then they add 2 more there in the bottom half of the 5th. But unfortunately, the bullpen kind of compounds with some errors tonight. That lone run in the 7th, but the 8th inning is what ultimately was the nail in the coffin for the Rockies in this game today. So we'll have to see what happens with Ryan Feltner moving forward. But like I said, an ERA within the 2s in the month of September, can't be too upset at that. Charlie Blackmon, we'll save a little bit of Chuck talk here coming up in a minute. He gets a run across tonight for the Rockies, which you'll love to see. In the bottom half of the 5th inning, his 5th triple of the season, maybe the final triple of his career. That brings around a run to score. Aaron Schunk is the runner that scores there on that situation. And Schunk was able to drive in Sam Hilliard as well there in the bottom half of the 5th inning, which kind of set the table for the Rockies to get those 2 runs. But shout out to Chuck Nasty for getting the job done there. Love to see it. Like I said, could very well be his final triple of his Major League Baseball career. So nice to see him at least get off to this final little 6-game stretch of his career, off to a hot start, contributing for the Rockies tonight. But I mean, that was pretty much it from the lineup. As I mentioned, Aaron Schunk drove in 2 runs tonight. Blackmon accounted for the other, and just the middle of the lineup was dreadful tonight. I mean, Chuck had 2 hits, Tovar had a base hit, but Brenton Doyle tonight 0 for 4. Ryan McMahon 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Michael Tully had a base hit with a strikeout as well, but only 1 for 4 in his plate appearances tonight. Sam Hilliard, who's been up and down, he had 3 strikeouts tonight. Jacob Stallings 1 hit. Jordan Beck no hits. He's at 194. So only 8 hits tonight for the Rockies, which I guess is better than what we've seen. I feel like I've done a million postcasts where they have 3, 4, 5 hits throughout the course of the game. But the strikeouts just continue to be a problem for Colorado with 10 of them tonight, which is just not going to get you anywhere that you want to go. It was Michael McGreevy on the mound for St. Louis. He only went 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk and 5 strikeouts. But the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen did their job preventing the Rockies from scoring an additional run throughout the course of the game. So nice to see Chuck Nasty at least get an RBI triple. Love to see that, but really outside of that, not much to talk about with this Rockies lineup. And, the bullpen was just as bad tonight. Shavili, as we mentioned, he's been pretty good with the body of work this season, but he got rocked in 2/3 of innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, a walk, which came back to bite him in the rear end, and a strikeout. Victor Vodnik was all right. I guess I shouldn't say that. He did give up an earned run in his lone inning of work. And Mr. Bird there at the end was the only Rockies pitcher tonight that did not have a run scored against him in an inning and a third of work. So collectively, the Rockies also strike out 10 hitters tonight for the Cardinals, but they give up 7 earned runs off of 11 hits. So that's kind of all she wrote for the Rockies here. But all right, let's hit our final break, why don't we? And when we come back, we'll talk a little Chuck Nasty, and we'll also take a look at what's coming up tomorrow as the Rockies continue their series, their second to last series of the season against the St. Louis Cardinals. Stick with us, folks. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Stick with us, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Booking.com. You're going to want to listen up to this, guys. If you want to explore those U.S. cities you have always secretly wanted to learn more about, you can do so with our friends over at Booking.com. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city during the postseason. So if you're looking to get out to Phoenix, if you're looking out to get out to Los Angeles, maybe San Diego as well, be sure to check out our friends over at Booking.com. Maybe it's time to taste test your baseball competition stadium cuisine. Luckily, on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you. With Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the United States, you can go incognito to all your baseball rivals' cities. And guys, there's a ton of incredible cities out there. If the Mets make the playoffs, I can't recommend New York enough. The Yankees are going to be in the playoffs as well. Obviously, you've got San Diego, Los Angeles, and let's see if the Diamondbacks can get into plenty of cool cities. Milwaukee's a fun city. I was up there for the Rockies. Padres NLDS series. What was that? 2018, I want to say. And our friends over at Booking.com are going to have you covered. So book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. There is no better way to do it. Booking.com delivers exactly the right U.S. stay for you. Booking.com can help you book a stay that's close to your home team's or rival stadium. And no matter what team you are rooting for this postseason, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across the United States. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rival's city. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Be sure to check them out or in the app at Booking.com app. Okay, you guys, and let me also tell you about the fine folks over at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Be sure to check them out online at FanDuel.com. I say it every single time I do the FanDuel read. I'm an active FanDuel user. It is my personal favorite sportsbook out there, as at least of the ones that I can use here in the lovely state of Colorado. I was able to make some good money on the Colorado Buffaloes. I got them at 12-1 odds on FanDuel right before that final drive against Baylor, in which Shedeur Sanders ends up throwing the Hail Mary, pushes the game to overtime, and then Travis Hunter is able to secure the victory for the Colorado Buffaloes with that forced fumble in the end zone, which ended the game right there. Buffs improved to 3-1 on the season. And I don't know where else I would have got 12-1 odds in that moment except for FanDuel. Super quick. Odds are updating in front of you in real time, scores in real time. And like I said, guys, it is my personal favorite sports betting app here in Colorado. I know it's available in just about every other state that has legal sports betting. So if you're living in, I don't know, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, be sure to check out our friends over at FanDuel, guys, because it is America's #1 sportsbook for a reason, and I cannot recommend it enough. So be sure to check out our friends who are at FanDuel, FanDuel.com, and be sure to let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you. Okay, well, come on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are doing well out there. You can follow me on social at Media by AP, and also make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. Before we get to the upcoming game for the Rockies, which is where we'll end the show, let's talk a little Chuck Nasty here, man. 14 seasons, all of them with the Colorado Rockies, only 5 games left in his major league career as he announces his retirement. And I was kind of expecting this. If you're a regular listener to the postcast, I've talked about that as well, about how this could very well be the last season for Chuck Nasty. it all kind of pointed in that direction as well. And the news becoming official on Monday that he is going to hang up the spikes and ride on off into the sunset after a splendid 14-year career here in Colorado. And he's a great Rocky, man. He's a great, great Rocky, maybe not as good as some of the other guys that have come through here. I'm thinking maybe not Trevor Story, but, Nolan Arenado, obviously Larry Walker, obviously Todd Helton. Like, I don't put him in that category, but I put him in the tier below, which is a darn good baseball player. Like, he's not going to make the Hall of Fame. He maybe is a little overlooked nationally because he played at Coors Field, but just one of the great, great Rockies in franchise history. I kind of put him with the Vinny Castillas of the world, the Tulos of the world, the Cargos of the world, the Stories of the world, even to an extent as well, of guys that just had a really good, consistent runs with the Rockies. And the difference between a guy like Charlie Blackmon and, say, Trevor Story, maybe the better comparison for Chuck is that Troy Tulowitzki or Carlos Gonzalez, is the fact that he spent his entire career with the Rockies. I know Tulo ends up getting traded to Toronto, plays a little bit with the Yanks as well. Where did Cargo go? I want to say Cleveland maybe, but I don't think he really stuck anywhere. Besides, like, Carlos Gonzalez will always be known as a Rocky, even though I guess he started his career with the A's. But, just guys that made the most of their time in the purple pinstripes. And, I know there's a lot of talk, a lot of speculation about will they retire the number 19 jersey. I personally don't know if I would go that far myself, but I can understand why they would want to go that way. Like I said, it's a lifelong Rocky and a guy that played the game hard every day. I had the opportunity to cover him on a day-to-day basis from essentially 2016 up until COVID. So about 3 or 4 seasons there. I was in the clubhouse for, at least 2 or 3 games of homestand, or 2 or 3 games of series, excuse me. And he was a little robotic, he was a little robotic, a little OCD, had the same pregame routine, was very dialed in, very specific about how he approached the game. A 4-time All-Star, 2017 batting champion, and just a lot of great memories with Charlie Blackmon. He's a fan favorite. There's really no other way to slice it. And so I wish nothing but the best for Charlie Blackmon, his retirement. I hope it treats him well. He talked about how he eventually might try to shave the beard because his wife and kids have never seen him without it. With that mullet, long hairdo with the big old beard. That's what I will remember about Charlie Blackmon, on top of his fantastic performance for the Rockies and consistent performances for them as well. Great center fielder, great defensive center fielder at one point, always a consistent bat, and, a great leadoff hitter as well for the Rockies. I think back to those playoff teams, man, when you had Chuck, DJ, Story, Nato, Cargo, Para, kind of in that order, hitting the lineup, man. Those were really, really fun teams to cover. So we'll see what's next. He mentioned how he wants to be around the team, not as a coach or anything like that, but might be around the team in spring training. I expect Charlie Blackmon to, be a part of this Rockies organization in some capacity moving forward. But his playing days are about to be over. He's going to hang up the spikes, and just a great all-around Rocky. So we'll make sure to touch on Blackmon throughout the last few postcasts of the season. But if you have any specific Blackmon thoughts, drop some comments. Let me know. You can follow me on social media by AP because he is one of the good guys for sure. So congratulations to Charlie Blackmon on a fantastic career with the Colorado Rockies, one of the good guys to wear the uniform as well. So before we get out of here, we'll take a look at tomorrow's pitching matchup. It is a 6:40 p.m. start at Coors Field. Last few chances to see Chuck Nasty up close and personal. It'll be Eric Fede, I hope I said that correctly, on the mound for St. Louis. He's 8-9 with a 3.38 ERA and 144 strikeouts. And it'll be big game Austin Gomber on the mound for the Rocks, the Southpaw. 5-11 with a 4.67 ERA to pair with 113 strikeouts. So we'll see if Mr. Gomber can navigate that first inning with ease and try to settle into a groove as the Rockies try to bounce back after tonight's loss to the Cardinals. Your final score, 7-3. But all right, folks, I think that is going to do it for me on tonight's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast. Really, really appreciate you guys tuning in with me. Only 5 of these actually 4, because I don't think I'll be able to do Saturdays because of the CU Buffs game. So I'll be doing the Buffs postcast because I think those are simultaneous. But either way, you can count them on one hand, the amount of postcasts that we have left. So really appreciate you guys tuning in with me. If you want to follow along, you can do so at Media by AP as well. And we'll see, like I said, if the Rockies can try to finish this season on a strong note, still have an opportunity to win this series against St. Louis, and then hopefully have an opportunity to play spoiler against the Los Angeles Dodgers in their final series of the year. But rough defense tonight from Colorado. Ryan Feltner leaves with a cramp as well, and that's essentially all she wrote as the Rockies punch out 10 times and lose tonight to the St. Louis Cardinals. Your final score 7-3. Rockies now at 60-97. We'll see if they get to that 100 loss mark, which would be 2 seasons in a row after it didn't happen in the first 25 plus years in the franchise's history. So we shall see. But that's it for me, folks. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one, guys.